Welcome to the Red Gauge Podcast. If you could like, subscribe, comment, and share, it would really help out the show a ton. We'd appreciate it. Today, we have the marvelous Jaz Warren. Jaz was a collegiate wrestler, and she's an assistant coach, first-year assistant coach at Shelton High School. And we had our, I believe, first ever league champions out of a wrestling program at Shelton High School. So we were really excited to celebrate that. And sent 10 kids to state, I think, yeah, and made it to day 2 and scored some points, yeah, yes. Crushing, dominating season. Jaz wrestled 3 years in college, and we're here to talk about wrestling.
I love talking about wrestling.
Wrestling. What is the, no, I mean, that's probably a silly question, but I know there's Greco and freestyle and, folk, but is wrestling its own thing?
Like Alabama, Georgia, it's just wrestling.
Or like at home, me and my brothers broke more than a few coffee tables. Does that count as wrestling?
That's like WWE, I think.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay.
Mud.
That would be wrestling.
Mud wrestling?
Mud wrestling?
Mud wrestling.
Yeah. I've done that before.
I don't know where you're going with this.
I don't
you
either.
were really on a
I was
path
just
there.
feeling silly, I think.
Okay.
We should probably move on to like what we're doing here.
Sure.
All right. So, Jaz, how'd you get into sport?
My mom and dad forced me to.
Oh, man, good parents. We love that.
I know. We look back now and we do love that. But, yeah, all of my siblings had wrestled. I come from a wrestling family. I was that nerdy kid who just wanted to read all the time. And they basically told me that, like, if I wanted to play sports in high school, I had to do 1 year of wrestling. So I did my 1 year. I tried everything to get kicked off the team. Like, even to the point where I'd wear, like basketball stuff because I knew it made, like, the head coach at the time mad. And so I'd be on, like, wrestling and I'd be wearing, like, repping, like, my, I don't know, Shelton basketball shirt or something. Yeah, and never got kicked off. And I think there was just one day I had gotten my butt kicked one too many times. And I was just like, I don't want to lose anymore. So
it became easier to just whoop the girls' butts than it was like to not try and lose.
Yeah, and so that's what happened. I just decided I wanted to not get beat up anymore and became good at it.
Yeah. It's amazing how often that's a motivation for any type of like working out or exercise. Like I was tired of being bullied, so I was going to work out, get massive, be a great wrestler.
Yeah, I was going to go down a
rabbit hole. It's just funny that you started... You know what I mean? Like you already had started the sport, and then you decided you didn't want to get beat up anymore, so you were going to get good at it.
Yeah, and it makes it even more interesting because I'm like the middle. I have 8 siblings, 7 siblings. There's 8 of us, and I'm the middle child, one of the middle childs. And so like I've gotten beat up my entire life. Why was it just then, my sophomore year of high school, that I was like, I don't want to get beat up anymore? Like, I guess that was my final straw.
Yeah, it's good. I mean. Coaching, like you do see that in some athletes where it's like all of a sudden it was like boom, it's happened. Like that's an exciting thing. So
yeah. So started wrestling. Did you start your freshman year?
Sophomore
year. Oh yeah, because back was that just because we were a 10-12 school back then?
No, it was actually because my 8th grade year, I broke my leg. And then I got back to basketball too soon. So then I had to go and redo physical therapy.
Ooh.
So I spent my entire freshman year redoing physical therapy.
That's a bummer.
It was horrible. And so then my sophomore year was the year that I was like, I'm just going to do 1 year of wrestling and then I can get back to basketball, start dunking on people. But we all knew I was never going to dunk.
Redoing physical therapy might be like the crappiest thing to have to redo. Like, you know what I mean? Like, oh, redo this paper. Like, oh, redo physical therapy.
Yeah.
The whole thing. All of it.
Yeah, just start over again. Like, we haven't done anything for the last 3 months. Okay, so you got into wrestling your sophomore year, and you decided you didn't want to get beat up anymore. How did the rest of your high school wrestling experience go?
It went pretty well. So that year, I ended up making it to state. It was like crazy because it was like super snowy or something. So our regionals got canceled. So everybody that like placed at subs, they went to state. And I had placed second at subs. So then I went to state. I won my first match in the Dome, and then went 0-2 barbecue, so I just got to eat the rest of the day. And then, yeah, so I did that and then came back my junior year. And there was just a fire was lit underneath me. I was like, I'm actually really good at the sport. Like I'm gonna put my soul into this. And so yeah, it was a lot of like, I had like a definite problem with like weight and like how to lose weight. Didn't really understand. I didn't have the right people like teaching me how to. So when we get to like middle of season, and I struggled a lot with like trying to get down to the weight class I wanted to be. But it just pushed me to work harder. So it was like 5 a.m. runs with my dad before school. Then getting to school, working out some more. Like I had 0-hour PE classes, and so I was just like doing a lot of workouts. And then I was even doing some like Sunday practices to get better. And so that year made it to state. I placed. Probably should have placed higher, but my only goal was to get a medal. So once I got my medal, I was like, I'm done. Get me out of this tournament. Yeah, and then my senior year was like COVID, so we didn't really have like a whole wrestling season. So there was no state meet, but I would have qualified for that. And then yeah, so I didn't really like see myself going to college at all. But once I was starting to hit senior year, I was getting like coaches reaching out to me.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, why me? Why this small girl from this little town?
I want to play basketball.
I want to dunk on people.
Yeah, and I was like, well, actually, this could be a good way to get a good scholarship and still get to continue this sport. Like I had so much more I wanted to prove because COVID had happened, and I didn't get to finish out how I wanted to. So yeah, so then I went through that whole process of getting recruited.
Just a bummer of a senior year.
Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah, that whole experience as a school teacher was terrible and horrific. It was not pleasant at all. Like I felt terrible sending kids home. That didn't feel good to me. And, you know.
Yeah, that initial, when they were like, hey, we got to take 2 weeks off.
That was great. I was happy.
like,
yeah.
2 weeks, a year and a half later, it was like, dude, are we going to get back at some point here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That sucks, man.
Yeah. Yeah, it took all the sports out, graduation, prom, the whole 9 yards. There was no fun stuff for seniors that year.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
You did move on to college. Where'd you wind up going?
Little Hastings, Nebraska. I was a Midwest girly. Yeah, so when I was going through that whole process, I was looking at schools in California, and like all over the U.S., and there was nowhere in Washington that had it besides Grace Harbor. But my sister was going there at the time, and I like had declared in high school I was never going to be on the same team as her again, you know, just sister stuff. And so I was like, I gotta go somewhere else. But if you know anything about wrestling, you know, like the heart and soul of wrestling is in the Midwest.
Yeah.
Like that's where wrestling is. And so I told myself, I was like, I gotta go to school in the Midwest. So I met with like a lot of coaches, and the one in Hastings my mom just like really liked. She's like, she's really personable, I like her, she'll take care of you. And if you know anything about me, I'm like super family oriented. Like my family's super close. And so I was like, this is gonna be like a hard change for me to leave them and go and be on my own in Nebraska of all places. But yeah, so that's how I ended up there, and
Yeah.
it was nice.
Yeah.
Yes.
And how long were you there for?
I was there for 2 years. Yeah. And then Evergreen State College, so in Olympia, was starting their girls wrestling program. And the coach knew my uncle and knew of me. And so he reached out to my dad from there and was like, does your daughter want to come home, like, perchance? Like, I need somebody to help me start this program. I need a girl who's experienced in, like, at college wrestling, to like help motivate people to get here. And so I was like, heck yeah, I'll come home.
You're like wrestler number one.
I will be there. I'm also on the papers today. Like, what do I gotta do? Can I fly home right now?
That's awesome.
Yeah, so
It's been really exciting to see how many schools have adopted girls wrestling programs over the last few years, and we're going to have our first NCAA championships next year, I believe. Yeah. So that's going to be pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really exciting. It's awesome because, I mean, when I went to Hastings, it was its second year as a program. And then obviously Evergreen last year was its first year as a program. So like just getting to be at the forefront of like the fastest growing sport
Mhm.
in the world, not even just our nation anymore, in the world, is just awesome to
Yeah.
just be there helping set the foundation for the girls that come after me.
Yeah. How was your inaugural season at Evergreen? What did that feel like?
It felt like wrestling. I think it was a real eye-opener for me, because that second year at Hastings, I kind of was going through this thing where I was like, I hate wrestling. I hate my sport. It's starting to make me hate myself, and I was really falling out of love with the sport. And so then when I went to Evergreen, I kind of had told the coach, I was like, I'm not going to be here on a scholarship because I don't want to have that holding over my head.
Mhm.
I kind of just want to be doing my own thing. And so I spent that entire season, I competed maybe 2 or 3 times, but I mostly focused on remembering what I liked about wrestling,
Mhm.
remembering the moves, and I spent a lot of it coaching other girls on my team. So
Yeah.
that's mostly what I did last year at Evergreen was coaching other people and relearning the basics and how to love the sport again.
Yeah.
So, what do you feel like changed? Like you had said you kind of had a year-round mentality going towards the end of your senior year. Was it just the fact that it's like a year-round mentality that you're choosing, and then now all of a sudden it's like year-round mentality whether you want to pay attention right now or not? Like, is that like the big change? Or was it just the length that you had been in the sport? Sometimes, we've talked about it with other guests, like lifting and sport, sometimes it just becomes like the minutia, like the thing you loved and why you're here becomes like, oh my gosh, like how many times am I going to, wake up for an early practice and things like that.
Yeah, I think a little bit of both. It was a huge eye opener because in high school I said I willingly got up at 5 a.m. to go
Right.
and do these runs, but now it's if I don't get up and my teammates don't get up, everybody's in trouble, and I'm like, why am I in trouble? Because she didn't get up.
Right.
And so it became just this hard thing, and then being away from home, not having people there to support me, and that cared about me, cheered me on, and everything was really, really hard on me.
Yeah.
I was like, why am I doing this now? What is the point?
Yeah, like you said, being a big family, but a big close family,
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it was just really difficult. Because I don't think I meant to have bosses. I think I figured that out. It's just
Supposed to work for yourself.
yes,
Independent contractor.
yes. Yeah. So it was just to have somebody over there that was just not telling me the things I wanted to hear. It was very difficult. So just did not like it.
Listen, that's a good thing to learn early.
Yeah.
It's true.
Not
Yeah,
meant
yeah.
to have bosses.
Yeah, it's good to make mistakes when you're young because the stakes are lower, Yeah, if I have to find out now with 3 kids and a mortgage that I don't like bosses, I'm in a pickle.
Unless you subscribe,
Yeah.
follow us on Instagram.
Comment, share,
Make your grandma watch us.
Yeah.
Do all
put
of
it
that
on the
so
tape.
they don't
Put it-
have to have bosses like
Yeah.
me.
Anytime you're visiting grandma, just pop it on.
Yeah.
Here, grandma, watch this.
Yeah, so when you were in high school and getting up for the 5 a.m. workouts, and then in college, begrudgingly getting up for the 5 a.m. workouts, what do you think the difference was in terms of your mindset approaching those things? One of the things we've talked about a lot on the show is that if you are here because you want to learn about to be better at sport, right? Because that's kind of what we're trying to do is provide information to help people with sport. You're kind of a trainee first and a competitor second, right? Because no matter what your sport is, you're going to train more days than you compete, right?
Yeah.
So what was the transition? What was that transition like? Do you think internally? Have you thought about that a lot?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
So I think in high school it was I had a goal. I knew what steps it was going to take to achieve that goal.
Mm-hmm.
And then in college I kind of just was I think that break in between getting to wrestle at state and then that the COVID really just took so much toll on my body. I had a bigger weight cut that I had to do, and then being in another state, and now I'm getting up for these early morning lifts, and I kind of just I don't see the purpose. What is my end goal? Because I never really I didn't think about that. I didn't think oh, I want a national medal. I didn't think about what my goals were at all, and so it really just was there's nothing in it for me.
Yeah.
Is what it felt like.
So there was kind of a little bit of whiplash then, like almost like you were doing it just for the process originally, like to become better, and that was the thing that you were working towards. And then when you went to college, it was like, oh, well, I'm supposed to be here to do something, but none of it sounds like something I really want to do.
Yeah. So it was definitely difficult to go into that transition of trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I mean, my like standing advice for anybody who wants to get into sports seriously is just to love doing it, like love the process, because there are no other goals. Like all the other goals are temporary, you know, they come and go, but like you've got to be in the process forever. Yeah. You know, or as long as you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
I have like I had a conversation with some of our girls this year. Our first week of practice is always going over the basics, like, you know, shooting a single leg, how to do stance and motion, and they complain every single time about it. And I remember being that kid and complaining, like, why are we doing this again? This is stupid. And like, yes, it's for the new girls, but like you have to fall in love with the process. You have to understand that it's the basics that win us matches. It's the basics that make us fall in love with the sport. Like you have to really embrace the hard, because that's the thing that you're going to think about the most. Like it keeps me up at night thinking about like how hard I was working, how hard I was sweating, to the point where I couldn't think of anything else but my workout that I was doing. Like you can't do anything but breathe. And like that feeling is something that you will chase your entire life. Like there's nothing else like that.
Yeah. It's amazing how that's like such a common thing, like in almost every sport. Like it's true in the weight room. Like you get that first time that you go in and you lift weights really hard and you leave and like your body just doesn't even feel like it belongs to you anymore. Like you don't have any sense of ownership over what you're doing, and you're like, this is the best thing I've ever done in my life, and I want to do it every day forever. You know, some people don't feel that way, but
and then DOMS kicks in, and you're like, dear God, can somebody help me onto the toilet?
Yeah, it's 2 or 3 days later, and you're like, you're trying to page the butler from the bathroom. Who do I call for help on this one?
Mom. But yeah, Charlton's boys wrestling coach, Chris Lacey, we just had a conversation last night, actually, and he said the best advice when he was going to be like possibly playing, I think it was football at Western when they had a football program. He's a little bit older, and he said the best advice that he got was, you better make sure you really want to be a college football player. And I think you see that a lot is kids that go not thinking about like, listen, like, yeah, you're an athlete, but you're still going to college.
Yeah.
You know, like the classes are going to be harder. It's more rigorous. You're going to be studying harder. Sometimes studying, you now have to study probably, unless they're just, you know, basic intelligence. You know, like you're going to the library. You're not getting around that. And then on top of that, you're an athlete and you're going to have to put more time into that as well. Like, so I think it's very overwhelming, you know, and you see that a lot where kids don't make it through the first year, you know, like, so just being able to I almost feel like it's that first year of like, holy crap. And then on top of that being that separation, like being on the other side of the country is also just like, you got to really be tough to make it through all that, you know.
Something you got to steel yourself for.
And some kids, like if you're, and it might have been, you know, you were wrestling, so wrestling might be a tiny bit different. I don't exactly know how many kids they recruit, but like, so my sport was more football. Like you're probably the stud on your team, and you're immediately going, and you're probably, you know what I mean? Like there's a good chance you're the worst, and a lot of kids can't handle that. Like, you know, the bigger you are, the bigger program you're going to, just means the better kids that they have. Like you got to really work for it, and it's a shock to a lot of people. Like, did you see like where you were like, dude, I'm kind of a badass, and then get there? Was there any other girls in your weight classes that were like, I'm a badass?
So yeah. When I got there, I don't know what I expected. Let's be honest. Because I didn't even know I was gonna like wrestle in college, or I was even gonna go to college. So like this was like a whole eye opener. But when I got there was a girl on my team that was at my weight class. One of them was like a 2-time state champion. There's another one that was like a 4-time state champion. And they're like, yeah, my mom like was a really good wrestler and my whole family wrestles. And I was just like, oh my God, I don't want to ever wrestle this girl. Like, I know she's about to be a practice partner. Like I barely got my 8th place medal. Like, let's be honest. So I was like super, super scared to wrestle her. And then we go through the first practice and I was like, what was I scared about? And then I like realized, I'm like, her state meet was so much smaller than ours were, and so it was like her competition was not
Right,
remotely
that's interesting.
like
Yeah, like
mine was, and especially because when I first started college, like women's wrestling was still on the growth, but it did not have as many numbers as it does now.
Mm-hmm.
So it was
Sure.
like even less. So like I had no idea why I was so stressed, and I realized like I was like, this is not as bad as
like
it
I
seems.
can do this. Yeah.
Like
That's great.
I probably could. Yeah.
Maybe what you really needed was to run into her and have her just kick the crap out of you every day, so you could re-fall in love with not getting the crap kicked out of you.
It would have motivated me, for sure. I would have been like, oh, she's not gonna get me tomorrow.
I think that's helpful. I guess there probably is a line. Like if that skill level is so far, like if I go try to roll around with any level of
NCAA
wrestler,
wrestler,
like,
yeah.
I don't know that I'm getting better because I can do nothing. Like I can zero moves are gonna work. But I think like wrestling with somebody that is better than you is probably beneficial for you. Like you're
So-
going to have to wrestle harder. You're gonna learn more. Like by being the better wrestler, like it's probably not a lot you're gonna be learning. You probably get away with some sloppy. You know what I mean? Like maybe a move that is going to work on me might not work on Kyle when you get into a meet and things like that. So it's kind of almost feel like there's probably a benefit in both, but definitely a benefit of being the lower, maybe in those first years before you become the badass.
Yeah. 'Cause like so my sophomore year, I wrestled one of Shelton's best girls in the program that we have ever seen. She was my practice partner, and I just like I said, I was getting my butt kicked, and there was one day where I was just like, I need to be a better practice partner for her, so I need to push myself even harder. I was already going pretty hard, but now I got to go even more so that she can get better, so she can get her state medal. And when I switched that mindset too, I was like doing it for more than just me. Like I was doing it to help her get better, and that made me better. But then the following year when she wasn't there and I was the best person, like I feel like it made me get a lot more technical because now I do have to show my practice partner where to put their hands, like how to feel where body weight is going. So you start to understand the sport in a different way, rather than just being the athlete. Now you're a little bit of the coach. Like you have
Yeah,
to see
girl,
it
I'll
from.
tell you right now that you're in the right profession. Like coaching, if that's what you came out with was like, oh, I'll just learn how to coach. Like that's not what I don't think that's what a lot of kids do. Like a lot of kids would just be like, I'm just gonna whoop their ass now. Like,
That's
and
true.
get this over with.
I think I come from a coaching background, like
Right.
family. So like that was already in my blood. Like I knew I was gonna coach. I wish kids would switch their mindset though. Like take your time and really, like I said, go back to the basics. Teach them how to do these moves, because it starts to make you realize like, oh, I've been doing this wrong. Like I wasn't doing this right. And like having to walk them through and explain it and say things out loud makes you a better wrestler, makes you a better athlete. You have to focus on the things that you haven't been doing right. And I think a lot of people like don't think about that. And yeah, I just wish people would switch their mindset just a little bit. Like your coaches would love you.
Yeah, and it's such a sport of like, 2 degrees and 1 inch and a half a second. And so like being sharp on those fundamentals is so important.
Yeah.
Yeah. So important. Yeah. So you did your year at, it sounds like you just kind of naturally transitioned to coaching. Like you were wrestling, you're kind of like, not sure if you want to keep wrestling, but still like being in it. So you're in your year at Evergreen and you spend half your time coaching.
Yeah.
And so like what was the tipping point? Why'd you decide to get out and, help run a girls team and everything?
One is like my trainer in college, at my first college, told me for every 1 year that you are a collegiate athlete, your body ages like 6 to 8 years. And wrestling is a very intense sport, so it's like even more. So like I was already like, my body is just so tired, so tired. Ask my shoulders, they'll tell you. But so that was like one thing that I was like, do I really want to go through this again? Do I want to go through the weight cuts? And like, can I really take it? Like having to lift somebody my weight above my head is not the most fun thing in the world.
Great
So-
pictures, but doesn't feel as good.
Does not feel as good. Your body will hate you a couple years down the road, like 3 years. So don't think it's that far. But that was one thing, and then the other thing was like, I always knew I was gonna be a coach, and so it was just like, when is the time gonna come? And all the girls, they are smart, and they all like to message me and be like, oh, you should come and like hang out with us at practice, like, can you show us this move? And eventually it was just like they got a soft spot in my heart, and I was like, oh my god, like I gotta teach them how to get better. Like I want to give back. And I knew I was going to come back to Shelton at some point and give back to my community, the community that blessed me with the sport. And so that was like the deciding factor. I think I was biking. I was like already starting season. I was biking, and like I had tape around my ankles and my wrists. Like I was about to start sweating, and I started going. I was going really fast. It was like probably about 15 minutes into it, and I just stopped. And my partners were like, "What are you doing? Like, why are you stopping?" Because I'm just sitting there, and I'm just going like, "Yeah," like just thinking. And I looked at them, and I was like, "I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I think I'm done." And they're like, really? Like, you're gonna quit? And I was like, yeah. Came in the next day, dropped my stuff off with my coach, told him I was like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, I'm ready to coach. Like, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I've always said that I was going to be a better coach than I was an athlete. And so that day I decided that's what I was going to do.
I just, in my head, I was thinking like you just got off the bike and just like yelled at the coach like, I'm going to coach a team, and like ran out, like pushed the doors out and just like ran all the way to Shelton.
I was thinking about the scene in Forrest Gump where he stops running and he's like, I'm going to go home
I
now.
think I'll go home now. That's
quite
kind of how
literally
your
what it
career
was.
was, right? Like, well, what the hell are we going to do now?
That was quite literally what it was. And yeah, the girls on my wrestling team, my wrestling partners, text me and they're like, where are you? And I was like, you weren't here when I had that big like,
I had an epiphany.
like I told you guys I was done, and they're like, I thought you were joking. And I was like, girl, I left my wrestling shoes there. I was not joking.
Yeah. And so how much time between when you decided to stop and when you put on your coach's blazer and showed up and started yelling at kids?
Like a week and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it was real close to season. So I had to scramble to get all of the stuff ready. All of my like tests or whatever that they make you do to be a coach. Scrambled to get all of that done before season started. And so when my girls, like, a lot of them probably think like, oh, she was an athlete like a while ago. And like I have to keep reminding them like I'm still currently in college. Like
Yeah.
I quit a week and a half before your season started. Like I was still an athlete. Like I can still go back. And I think they see me as so much older now. They're like, you've been doing this for years. Like, no.
Welcome.
Yeah. You're part of the team now. You're just an old person dealing with
So
kids.
obviously, like you said, like giving back and you're family oriented. So like that equation can definitely lead towards like, like a situation that me and Kyle are in, where we've coached for a long time for the alma mater, right? Like we're home, we've coached. But do you have like, now that you feel the coaching, like do you see any like where it's aspirations of like maybe you go talk with your coach and it's an evergreen state, or you know what I mean? Like do you see that? Are you going to maybe try to climb the ladder in coaching? Like I was very excited about that, but I was a little older, got married young, and it's hard because if coaching wrestling's anything like coaching football or being a strength coach, it's 2 years here, an upgrade, but now you're moving here, and an upgrade, but now you're down here. So it's like, with a family, it's a little tough. But like, is that something where you're like, maybe in the future, after I win 10 state titles at Shelton?
Luckily, I don't have a mortgage or kids, so don't have to worry about them. But yeah, I've known that I want to coach college, and just because it's a different style of wrestling, like folk style that you do in high school, awesome, love it, great. But freestyle, so much
That's
better.
your jam.
So much better. So I've known that that's eventually my goal. But yeah, I want to give back to Shelton first, and then eventually I will go the college route, whether it will be with Evergreen or somewhere else. But it'll probably be, I'll be a grad assistant coach, so I can get free school again.
That's smart. Get as much as you can, girl.
Yeah, so that's the next route. I'll probably go there. But I gotta get some things under my belt, start figuring out who I am as a coach more.
Right.
Which I think I know a little bit, but I still want to get more experience before I go up to the next level.
I think that's intelligent.
Yeah, I mean, it's always like trying to help others or working with others is always like a really significant growing experience, So every year is going to feel wildly different.
Yeah.
But I think that's actually the tough thing about coaching is because it is all about the other person.
Mm-hmm.
And then so like there's never a time like being a coach that is taking a year off from coaching right now currently. Like last year I was a head football coach, strength coach, like I've been there for a decade, and this is the first year I'm not coaching powerlifting or football. Like there's never a time where the kids don't feel like you're abandoning them. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's you know what I mean? Like I've talked about possibly taking a year off for a few years, but no matter when I chose that to come, this was kind of natural, having been the interim head coach. Like, all right, this is natural. New guy comes in. Monroe gets to take a little time off. Try red gauge. See how this works, right? But I'm sure kids, I know it in the powerlifting because a lot of the kids, the team was very large, and now the team is not very large. So I know a lot of those kids just stepped away, but I'm sure there are some that are mad at me and think that I abandoned them, which is not true. It's just sometimes an adult does things for them, which is, I guess, not fair in a way. But
yeah, I mean, it's hard. We've talked before about like the role. Maybe this is a good question for you. Did you? I mean, I know obviously, very close with family members, so you feel free to include them because you've got some coaches in your family. But like, was there ever? Did you have coaches in your career that you felt like turned your life around, like had a really big impact on what you were going to be as a person?
Yeah, I mean, again, I do come from a coaching family, so I've always went with my dad. He's always been like a basketball coach, so it was like always going to practices with him, getting to sit on the sideline, hear him talk, and he coached females most of the time. So like getting to see him as like a male coach a female sport, and like learning from him, like he would tell me there's a difference between the two, and he would help like let me do some of the coaching too. Even though I was young, the girls probably thought it was really funny. Like I was learning, and then I would also watch my grandpa, who was a college golf coach. I'd watch him coach during the summers and stuff like that, so I'd get to see their summer workouts, what it was like to be a collegiate athlete, and learn from him. So those two have definitely motivated me and inspired me to be a coach. But when I was at Hastings, going through the toughest time in my life, I'd feel like, I had the assistant coach there. Shout out to Matthew.
Shout out to Matthew.
But yeah, he spent extra time with me, helping me figure out what I wanted to do within the realms of wrestling. And he would teach me new moves, and he would just inspired me to be a coach too. He would take me to the local high school that was there, and we would go and like volunteer our time and coach those girls, and it just became like such a fun like outing. We would do it every couple of days or something. We would go out there and we'd go and coach them, and it was just always something that I found like super enjoyable and fun, and I could look forward to that every week. So he definitely like life-changing. Like every once in a while I like to message him just like, hey, how are you doing? So yeah, he definitely inspired me to do that. And then also the old coach Garrick, because he's the one that got me into wrestling. Not a lot of people like old coaching styles, but it was the one that I needed at the time, so that worked for me.
Yeah, I mean, talking about changing gears, like it's, if you do an okay job, just an okay job as a coach, you're probably going to mean a lot to somebody.
Yeah.
And so it is hard to change gears when you've gotten established and you have relationships with kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you brought up your dad, Nigel. I've known him for quite some time. There's three things I got to say.
Shout out to Nigel.
Nigel, he's great man. You don't want to defend him in the paint. He bodies you all over the place.
He's a big boy. He's a big boy.
Bodies. Second, every one of his screens is a moving screen. Nigel, you throw so many moving screens, you're all over the place. It's insane. You'll be running full speed down, just screen.
That'll inspire him to throw more.
Yeah, he'll probably screen me in the middle of campus. Third, best bartender I've ever had.
Oh yeah.
Loved him as a bartender. He
Some
bartended
people,
at me and my wife's spot, and he's awesome.
Some people find what they like to do older.
Yeah.
He's not that old, but he's old. And yeah, he found that, and he really likes bartending. So
yeah.
I've heard good things.
Yeah. Okay, so walk us through your first season. You did all your tests to coach in a week and a half.
Yes.
Background check,
Yes.
Forms, the whole 9 yards. They took your DNA,
Everything.
eye scans.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you showed up and you had a group of you and your head coach had a group of girls.
Yes.
Yeah.
A big group of girls. There was like 40 of them.
Really?
Yeah, that's what we started season off with, was like 40 something.
That's a pretty substantial turnout.
It was huge. And especially, I don't know what the numbers were the following year. I mean, the previous year. But I'm pretty sure we doubled.
Yeah, it was exceptional. Like,
Yeah, I think
someone
it
that
was,
obviously watches more from afar. Like, I see a lot of the girls in the weight room, but I'm not affiliated necessarily with wrestling on boys or girls. But it was impressive. Like,
Well,
I've never had that many girls in the weight room that were like, "Oh, I'm a wrestler. I'm a wrestler." It's like, all of you?
everyone.
It's just
Yeah.
every girl?
We just keep spawning them. Yeah, it was actually crazy because like when I was in high school, my senior year, there was like, the head coach and I were trying to go through like how many of us there were. There was probably like 4 of us on the team, maybe 5. Like I don't know. And now there's like 40 girls. I don't even know what to do with 40 girls. Like,
Yeah.
everybody run. I don't know.
It becomes an issue.
Everybody
It really
run.
does. How do you coach 40 people with 2
Yeah.
people?
Yeah.
There's 4 people wrestling. Everybody else bear crawls around the gym till I say so.
Till I'm tired. That's
Yeah,
what I
yeah.
like to tell them.
Do it till I'm tired.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I'm tired all the time. That would be, oh, okay, I guess you're done.
They just start like, oh, it's too much.
But as they complain more, like, I start to get energetic. I'm like, oh, this is kind of fun for me. What do you mean this workout's hard? Keep going.
I've always said that if you want to be a coach, you've got to enjoy other people's suffering just a little bit.
That is so true.
Yeah.
You got to push them a little.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, push them, but then also, like, I love coming up with the punishments. Like there's one thing about just, like, go run.
Yeah.
Like, I guess if I'm really mad, we're probably running. But, like, to watch someone roll 200 yards and just lie there disoriented and wanting to vomit, like, that's when you know you've made it big time.
That's
is
funny.
the 200-yard roll.
If my girls are watching this, rolling next year.
Yeah, get
Oh,
ready
yeah.
for it.
Oh, yeah.
Get ready for
No,
it.
I like to do. They like to test me all the time. But I had like I asked you for tennis balls, and I was gonna use them for like a fun little game workout thing. And they came in, they saw them, they're like, "Coach, can I have those? I want to juggle." And I was like, "No." And they asked again, and they like go to reach for it, and I was like, "Listen, now because you've asked for like 3 times, you have to juggle, and if you don't, we're running." And they like looked at me and they're like, "Are you serious? Like, can I take it back?" And I was like, "No." And then they're like, "I don't think I can. Can anybody else juggle?" And they're like, can you juggle?" And I was like, "Okay, but if she does it, now we have to run 2 sprints instead of 1. And it became like this huge thing until they ran out to like the basketball court, asked one of the
find
basketball
one.
coaches, was like, "Do you have any boys that can juggle on your team?" We're at like 48 sprints. We're gonna be sprinting the entire practice. Yeah, and they found some boy. He came in, and the boy was dating one of the girls on the team or whatever, and she's like, "He can't juggle, like he doesn't know how to juggle." And he comes in and he starts juggling. The girls get so loud, start cheering like crazy. They're like, "We don't have to run." I was like, "That's what you think."
Yeah. No, he doesn't have to run. You all can't juggle 48 sprints.
Yeah. Okay, so biggest team ever.
Yes.
Ever. Like, I'm sure that it is. I was telling Monroe that I've been at the high school for a long time, and I try to go to every sport.
Mhm.
Like, I try to go to a basketball game, football game, wrestling, track, help out if if I can manage it. And I have never, I don't think I've ever been to a wrestling match before this year, because every wrestler I've ever had, I've been like, "Hey, when can I come watch?" And they'll be like, "Oh, I don't know. I wrestle when the bus shows up." And I'm like, "What do you mean you wrestle when the bus shows up?" Like, and it's the first year where I had kids, and it was all girls on the girls team. Were like, "You should come watch us wrestle." And so it was the first time I ever got dates and times and stuff, and I thought that was hilarious. So
That was sweet of them. I was definitely one of those kids in high school that you probably asked me, and I was just like, "Ooh, I sold your ticket already. You're not coming."
Oh.
yeah, so yeah, it was pretty cool. It was a great group of kids that you had. So, did you feel like fish in water jumping into coaching? Was there like any big hurdles for your first year?
I think the different style, because I had just spent 3 years wrestling a different style that didn't have
Right.
we didn't have parterre, so it was like I have to do top and bottom position again. Like, how did I do this in high school? Like, what do you mean you want me to stand up? Like, I can't do that. So having to like remember and reteach myself all of those things. And then, yeah, just like, I feel like I'm a very, like, I learn from watching, so I have to watch them wrestle before I know how to like help them get better. And I like realized that, and so I would watch them do the move, and then I'm like, okay, no, actually here's what we need to do. Like, I can remember how to walk somebody through this. So I think figuring out how to coach somebody through the move was definitely like, it was a process. I was like, bear with me right now as I like step by step tell you where to move things. Like, I don't even know.
Yeah.
The answer to this might be I have no idea, but like, do you know like where it's so strange that college wrestles freestyle, and then everything that feeds into it is wrestling a totally different system? Like, where does that originate from? Do you have any idea like why? Are they ever thinking about merging the two systems?
And then there's Greco in the Olympics.
Right. Yeah. So like,
But Greco's only for boys.
Yeah.
The boys only get to do Greco.
for now.
Yeah.
Ah.
But if you ask the Evergreen head coach, he says Greco's only for boys. Girls don't do Greco. And we make fun of him for that. But so yeah, I don't know where exactly it originated or why, but it's only girls, like, or women's wrestling in college that does freestyle. Men still does folk style.
Okay.
So that whole, and that's so interesting because
So that's
nowhere,
even weirder because
Yeah,
then
yeah.
like if they go to the next level, it's
That's
not
all
folk style, right? Like,
yeah, it's
and
all freestyle. So that's the thing, is that like everywhere else in the world, all you do is Greco or freestyle.
Right.
So why do we
Yeah,
do we do folk
created
style?
our own little, because we're America, I guess.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
we're gonna
gotta be
create our own
different.
type of wrestling.
We're really proud of Abraham Lincoln. I wonder what kind
Yeah.
of style Lincoln wrestled. I
Lincoln.
feel like I should look that up one day.
It was WWE probably. He looks like you throw a chair at somebody.
He's definitely
Oh,
playing the heel, being all tall. and
I
skinny.
hope that Abraham Lincoln used to hit people with chairs. Like, just
Maybe the top hat. He took it off.
it's,
like
it's,
Brits
it's
in it
really
or
hard, and he
something.
just
Yeah.
hits people with them. He's in a singlet, but he keeps the top hat and wrestles people.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure that coaching technique for wrestling is much more like, so we do, I'm mostly just a weight room person, right?
Yeah.
And so, powerlifting is, as we've said before, the only sport where you don't have to move your feet. And so,
Must be
even
nice.
even in that, right, it's still a bear to get people to move right.
Yeah.
Like a giant hurdle. And it's like one implement and your feet are stationary and all
It's
that
the
kind of
same
stuff.
movement every time.
Yeah. Every time.
But coach, what if I arched my back this time? Like,
Yeah, they just do it randomly. You know what I mean? They'll be doing everything right. I remember having a girl on our powerlifting team who was pretty successful, and all of a sudden, like, her deadlift just fell apart. Like, she would not lock out her deadlift at the top. And I was like, what are you doing? And she's like, it just feels good. And I'm like, stop.
it just feels good.
I don't care what it feels
Yeah,
like.
or you don't realize it, but they have a slight injury, so over time their hips just start. It's like, why are you squatting this way? Like, what is-
Yeah.
I've watched you squat for a year.
It's
Where
not
does
supposed
this
to be
come
on a
from?
diagonal.
But yeah, so that's got to be much more difficult trying to
Mhm.
manage body positioning and super dynamic
Yeah.
ranges of motion.
Have you thought about what you're going to do different next year?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one.
Right? Because teaching, coaching, it's all about reflection. You always do it wrong.
Yeah.
Coach Hinkle. I don't know if did you have any crossover with Coach Hinkle, the football coach that was there? No.
No.
Okay. So it was our football coach. So this
Mhm.
was 3 football coaches ago. But he used to say, that's who hired me originally as a coach at Shelton. And he would say at the end of every year, he would take a journal and he would write down everything that went right and everything that went wrong. So the next time in every event that he would do that. So the next year when he was starting a season or starting, doing the banquet, whatever, he would look and go like, all right, keep these. Got to do something about this. And it's like the best advice I've ever heard.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I've never done it. After every, I've probably hosted 15 powerlifting meets, and every year I'm like, dear God, what do I have to do? Like, I don't remember anything. And I'm just scrambling around like, oh, I should do that thing Coach Hinkle taught me.
Yeah.
Never do.
Reflect. reflect a little bit.
But that's Monroe.
It's one of the big weaknesses, like in teaching, is that we don't have time for that. There's no paid time for it, So, I mean, you could do it in the summer, but I'd still work all summer. So, but yeah, anyway, what are you doing different next year?
That's actually funny that you said that, because my dad has told me the same exact thing. He's like, now that your season's over, you really need to look into it. What do you want different next year? What are your goals?
Yeah, because you got to think about it while it's fresh. If you wait too long, you'll either get rose-colored glasses or you'll start to get frustrated about stuff.
Yeah.
And so you'll either show up burnt out and irritated because none of these things went the way you wanted them to, or you'll show up and be like, I did great. And then your new group of kids will be like sucking gas, and you'll be like, oh, what is going on? Why isn't this working?
Yeah. I think we have a lot of girls that are really, really good at like attacking, being offensive, and wrestling, and I love that. But our defense, dear God, our defense. We need to learn how to sprawl. I've never seen a group of girls that cannot know how to sprawl more. So I think that's one thing. And then working on escaping from bottom position. We had it was our biggest weakness this year. Like, every team knew, like, if we put Shelton on bottom, they're losing this match. And that kind of really sucked. Our girls kind of switched a little bit towards the end, where they're like, no, I will just stand up, coach. Which was good, but we needed to establish that mindset at the beginning. So I think that's one thing, is working more on bottom positioning, giving them different options to get away, and then really drilling that in. We need to, it should be a fight for your life. Do you really want this weight on top of you?
Did you have a lot of seniors, or do you got a lot of girls coming back?
We have a lot of girls coming back. I think we had 7 seniors, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, so not too many, but we have a ton of sophomores and juniors. So next year we'll have a lot of seniors. But yeah, I think working on our defense a lot more, and stance and motion, because it's, again, that footwork, the foot movement, needs to be worked on. I think it's something that I really feel like we should work on more. And then also getting reflections at the end of the year from the girls. I want them to tell me how they thought my coaching went. What do you think that works well for you? Do you need a coach that pushes you harder? Do you need a coach that's nicer to you? What's going to help you learn more? And I think, getting reflections from them at the end would help me as a coach, to learn from them.
Yeah. And then, so as someone that's done that, one thing for you, coach to coach, make sure, if you want real information, over
Anonymous.
years and years, not even necessarily anonymous, just if you get good, critical feedback about yourself, you can't ever let it show for the kids. Because then, if you gave me real feedback, but it was tough feedback, and I was like, you're you're too hard sometimes, and I get mad, no one's ever writing that shit again.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're going to be like, I'm not, you're so cool and awesome, and I had the best time. And then you'll see them 2 years later, and they're going to be like, it's what the hell? I thought we had a great relationship. I guess not. So that's the big thing, is in your own room, you could be like, oh, screw you, stupid
Didn't
girl.
like you anyway.
Yeah. I was mad at you because you suck. You can't get out of the bottom position. But to them, be like, thank you. That's great information to have. I do get too mad.
Yeah. Well, it's one of the great things about working, especially with teenage kids, is that you will have no feelings left by the time you're done. They'll find every barb possible. The kids come in and try to hurt my feelings now. I'm like, I've been doing this for 7 years. You can't, there's nothing you can say that's original. It's all worn out, man. You try all year.
Yeah.
Yes, I know I'm bald. Yes, I know my calves are tiny. I have a weird lump on my head. What do you got there? Although that one comic, I did. That one girl yesterday got to me. I was like, what the hell is going on here? That was a new one.
You were having a down day.
Yeah.
The shield.
I wasn't. I was having an up day.
Oh, that's
I
why.
was pumped up.
That's why.
Yeah, I experienced that for the first time this year. And it was towards the end of the season too. They had been dogging on me. It's okay. I have siblings. Nothing you say is gonna hurt me. You've seen my little brother. He goes to school with you guys. I can take it. But we're just I'm just standing there and I'm thinking what can I do to help her transition, because this move is clearly not working for her. So I'm just standing there and I'm thinking as she's drilling, and she stops for a second. She looks at me and she goes, "Coach," and I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "You look like you're thinking about ice cream." I was like,
damn.
What is that supposed to mean? How do you know what that looks like? And she's like, "Wait, no. That's the face I make when I thinking about ice cream." And I'm like, I Here's another adult moment with you girls. Like, leave me alone, please.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, one of the things I've noticed that's been kind of like a recurring undercurrent for talking to coaches is trying to figure out when, like, the mindset issues. So in the weight room, it's when to be passionate and when to be dispassionate.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes you need to make program changes. You can't get stuck on what you're doing. Like sometimes you need to do the technical stuff that you're supposed to do, even if you want to just go in and go ham and throw weights around and stuff, right?
Yeah.
So, like, obviously, trying to get that weight off your back as hard as you can is a time to be passionate, right? And trying to defend is a time to be passionate, right? But, like, what are like the tools that you're trying to give your athletes in terms of like how they think about going into the wrestling match? Because there's a right frame of mind for a right position, right?
Yeah. I think we have to tell a lot of our girls to slow down, like breathe, be there in the moment, especially when we're at state in the Tacoma Dome. There's like 36 mats on the floor, everyone's screaming, like there's a huge crowd. You have to tell them, breathe. Like, we're here, we're in the moment, this is where we are. Like, if you gotta put your hands on the cold floor and realize, like, I'm here, then put your hands on the cold floor and do that. I know everyone's gonna look at you weird, but like, this is what you gotta do. But I also like spent the entire season, every Monday I would give them like a little mental Monday thing, and one of them I talked about, like, everyone's gonna have different energies going into a match. Like, for me, I know that I'm gonna already start sweating and I don't even gotta move. Like, I've got this like anxiousness, nervousness before a match, and it's gonna make me just get drenched in sweat. Like, I'm already hot before I step on that mat. And so I have to take a moment and I have to just like breathe. I have to kind of like meditate, get myself in my zone, listen to one song on repeat. But that's where I need to be. My level needs to be at like a 3 before going on a mat. There's some girls that need to be angry. They need to like, slap their thighs or like do whatever to get themselves like really pissed off or whatever it is. So they need to be at like a 9 or a 10. So I give them that scale, and I kind of like, this first tournament, let's figure out where we need to be. Do we need us coaches to tell you 2 seconds before you get on the mat, you're on the mat right now? Or do you need us to tell you 30 minutes before your match, you're about to be up, like, and you need to, go through your routine? But it's like all about figuring out what works for you. Where do you need to be to wrestle your best? Is there a certain song that helps you? Like, I have a certain song that even to this day, and since beginning of my wrestling career in high school, I listen to, and it's the entire bus ride all the way up there until the very end of the tournament. I listen to this one song on repeat. And so, yeah, just figuring out what works for you. What's the thing that's gonna help you get to where you need to be? Do you need to be an angry person or a very calm person? Like,
What's the song?
It's ABBA for sure.
All of our fan is wondering.
All of our fan.
DNA by Kendrick Lamar.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. It's a good choice. You could listen to that. That's the one you could listen to on repeat for sure.
Oh, yeah. And it just really gets you hyped up. Like,
I was hoping it was like Country Road. I don't know.
I know a guy in high school that
Just
would listen to like just the calmest music. It would literally be like do 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 or something like that, and it was like this kid who was big and scary.
It's almost way more frightening.
It was. It really was.
It's just the ice cream truck music.
The national anthem.
That would get somebody hype. I know that.
Oh man.
Yeah. I know, performance-wise, like, that's something that we talk about a lot in the weight room for powerlifters, is that if you have a routine that's the same, like you approach every squat that you're going to do, every bench that you're going to do, every deadlift you're going to do, whatever, right? That you approach it the same way, because the more things you change, the easier it is to get outside of your system or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So it becomes really important that you have a routine. It also becomes really important that your routine is sustainable and achievable, right? So like if your routine is supposed to start a half hour before your match, then what happens if your match gets bumped up a little bit, right? And you're not in time.
Luckily with high school kids, there needs to be, I think it's 35
like
or 45.
Okay.
Yeah, minimum.
Okay.
So they've got time. They've got a little bit of time. But we've had, like, we saw it at state with one of our girls who had like a really tough match that she lost, and it almost took her a little bit too much time to recover before her next match. When I called her over, she was like, it hasn't even been that long. And I'm like, girl, you've been over there sad for the last 25 minutes. Like, you got to get ready right now. Like, stop being sad about it. So, yeah.
You know, that was one of the funnest things to watch. Is not like, this going to sound callous. Like, this wasn't the fun part.
It was callous.
But like
you like to watch the children suffer.
The last match, right? Like,
Yeah,
all the kids had their last match. It happens at state. And to watch them walk off, like, I do like to see, like, the emotion in kids. You know what I mean? Like, that shows a coach that they care, right? So watching their emotions after that last loss and, like, walk out of the site of the Tacoma Dome, and then they're gone for a while depending on how emotional they are. But by the time they got back up to the seating area where we were all seated, they would have, like, French fries or ice cream, right? So they come, like, the sadness is all gone, and they're just like, oh, I could eat. Like, they're just sitting out just mowing down food. I was like, what a funny, like, change of emotion. By the time they get back up, they're already like, this wrestling season's over. Like, I'm getting sloppy, dude. Like, just eating all the crap. It was like, what a funny little change from, like, super dedicated, like, on paying attention to everything to just immediately, like, I'm going ham.
I think it also, it's
eating ham.
Eating ham, literally. It has to do with, like, how your coach is going to react, how your parents are going to react. Parents' moods, ooh, that'll get a kid going. Like, but yeah, we had a girl on the team who had only lost one match. She comes back down and we're like, did you eat anything? Because we constantly have to ask our girls, like, did you eat? Are you eating? Like, I don't know what it is about this group, but, like, they refuse. Like, I have to force feed them. But yeah, so I asked her, like, did you eat? And she's like, yeah, I ate. And the head coach was like, what did you eat? And she starts, like, telling him a little bit. She's like, and I had pizza. And he was like, so you didn't eat good food? And she, like, without even pausing, was like, it was good food. I was just like,
it was delicious.
Oh my God, girl. Like, you're going to want to throw up when you start wrestling. It was not the food you needed right now.
Oh, it was good.
Nothing like going to get beat up with a full belly of pizza.
Or winning with a full belly of pizza. That's the best.
Yeah.
I haven't had pizza in a long time.
Me either.
But, well, while we're on this, I feel like we can transition. We want to talk a little bit about that mindset, like, stay there. But we got to fit in the Monroe's Random Ass Question, which my guy's not coming through, man. I think 9 episodes I was talking about with Lacey. Gable Lacey, I talked about Monroe's Random Ass Question fucking music.
I know a guy.
It's episode 13.
Yeah.
I told him that we were going to go, like, that we were going to get your guy to send us stuff, and I would get him, and we would see which one was better, who wins. So it might be time for your guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I got a very specific thing that I'm looking for, though.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I'll tell you after.
Do you want to sing it to the audience?
No. No, it's got to be special.
I think you should.
Yeah.
That would be special.
Take these broken wings. It's that song right there.
Okay.
I thought that was pretty good. That sounded pretty good there. That was good.
I don't think anybody's going to be offended by that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I found, dude, Monroe's singing segment is the new thing where we harmonize.
Sing the
question. No, it's going to be real good.
Okay.
Real good.
The question.
The question's mid.
Okay.
Yeah, but the music will be great. So we're going fictional as opposed to all of my super realistic questions that I normally ask.
Okay.
If you could visit one physical place, where would it be?
Anywhere in the universe?
It's fictional. Anywhere in the fictional, anything that anybody, movie, books, right? Can't be real. You can't be like, oh, I want to go to this. I want to go to New York, but from this book, which just is like New York. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Wasn't there?
I feel like you're going to try to bend and be like, I really love New York from the movie Overwatch. And it's like, dude, that's just New York, man.
Just go to New York. No, I was trying to remember. I think there's like an old Norse myth about like you go to the witch and they take out your eyeball and you get all the knowledge in the universe. I would trade an eyeball for all the knowledge in the universe.
That's not a place. Are you saying you want to go to the witch's hut?
Yeah. I want to go to that place.
The place you would go in all of fiction is a witch's hut to give your eyeball up.
For all of the knowledge in the universe?
I don't think that's smart.
You don't?
No. I think that would mess you up.
I'm already messed up.
No,
I don't. I think
your
much.
brain would collapse having all that knowledge. I think you would immediately become crippled.
Okay, I want to take 2 then. I'll do a
with
take 2.
anxiety and depression. Like,
I think I feel
if
good
you
about
knew
it.
everything everybody had ever done, that's rough.
I think I'd be okay with it. But we'll get back. We'll come back. I'll come back to it. I'll do a new one.
'Kay.
That was just my first thought.
I think I know where I'm going to go.
We
You
just
want to
got to
go?
visit.
Where you
Wait,
going?
how long do we get to visit for?
Fucking, it's
Is
dude,
it like a day, a week?
Till you trade
however
that
long you
eyeball.
want, dude.
Till you trade
4
your eyeball.
years.
Hmm.
4 years max. That's where it tops out. You don't get to live there. It's like a visa. You get like a visitor's visa.
If you went somewhere that like time didn't exist, you could just have 4 years of your life extended and like
Yep.
learn how to play piano or something.
Sure. Yeah.
What if
Pretty
there's no
cool.
pianos?
Well, I'll pick
That-
one of the places that has pianos.
And you can survive there, whatever.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like, so if you're like, I want to go to
I mean, I feel like the obvious.
Interstellar's edge of the black hole.
Yeah, I mean, the
Like,
black hole seems like the obvious answer. I'm
but
not
what
gonna
if?
die.
But what if you get there and it's literally just no light? So you're just like, and you learn nothing, and it's just darkness, and you're like, shit.
I gotta
That
spend
was it.
4 years here.
That was it. All right, warp me back. They're like, what did you learn? It's like, it's dark.
Yeah. I mean,
Turns-
that all by itself might be useful.
Turns out light can't escape, or maybe it just
well,
can't
even
get
if
to
you
you.
couldn't see the light coming in, you know,
Yeah.
because you should be able to like look at the event horizon. And see
Yeah,
what's going on.
Hogwarts. I chose Hogwarts. that's where I wanted to go, is friggin' Hogwarts, and I want to go the whole 4 years.
I'm
You know
gonna
what I
stick with
mean?
my original answer. I'd have a cool eye
Oh.
patch and all the knowledge in the universe.
I just said 4 years. I don't think Hogwarts is 4 years. There's 7 books, and they're at Hogwarts. It's like a full middle school through a high school situation. So I'm just going. I'm going first 4 years of Hogwarts. That last 4, it gets a little rough.
It was
You know
pretty
what I mean?
deadly.
Like, I
There
don't.
was wizards trying
yeah,
to kill you.
Yeah. I'll stick with the troll and the sorting hat and things like that. I don't necessarily need. Although, if I look like this, Voldemort versus Voldemort action. You know what I mean?
Everyone will be suspicious when you show
Yeah,
up.
yeah. They'd be like, dude, come on. That's a bad disguise, old Voldy.
We all know that's you, Tom. Tom.
I go to Slytherin, like, shit. I feel like I would be Hufflepuff.
You'd be Slytherin
Sorry
for
for
sure.
any Hufflepuff
You'd be Slytherin
fans.
for
But
sure.
like if you're okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Slytherin, like you're the
Or
bad guys.
Gryffindor.
Or Gryffindor, you're the heroes.
Which one would I be?
Ravenclaw, you're in Ravenclaw. For
Yeah,
sure.
that
I
one's
think that's
wearing
the
the
smart.
blue shirt. He's wearing the blue shirt. He's
No,
definitely
I-
Ravenclaw.
I go to Ravenclaw.
I haven't read the
I don't know what
books.
the hell Hufflepuffs do, but all right, Jazz, this is
I'm gonna.
where I look at my YouTube analytics and it's like naturally slow, and then it gets to Monroe's random question, and it's just like just no one's watching anymore for the rest of the time. So you could say whatever you want. Everybody's already tuned out.
Candyland, the board game. I'm living in the board game.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go the Wreck-It Ralph Candyland.
Ooh, I didn't think about
Candyland.
that. I'm thinking the board game Candyland.
Yeah,
I'm
there's some
living there.
terrifying.
There
There's
is.
some terrifying people in Candyland. You got the Candy Cane Man. I don't even know what they're called. I'm just gonna be.
The black licorice person.
Oh,
whatever
that's what
that
I'm talking
was.
about. Yeah. He's like the Baron.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna stay
There's
away
a
from
slop
there.
man. He's like mud, or I'm guessing it's chocolate syrup or something.
And anybody who goes there gets drowned in the.
I think you get
chocolate syrup
stuck.
pond.
It's like hard to get away from him because he's all fudgy.
Why do we all choose like evil places to go? Like it's
Yeah.
all
Well, if
dark.
you get to the end, they got the princess, and you can go through like the candy cane maze and stuff.
I didn't
You're
think
still
mine
going-
was evil. I was just willing to trade an eye for unlimited knowledge. What did you say yours was again? Hufflepuff?
Hogwarts.
Hogwarts. Okay, cool. You
Yeah.
said something in there that I really wanted to make fun of you for, and now I can't remember what it was.
You went to a witch's hut. There's a chance that she's not even home, and you're just hanging out in the
I could be there
goddamn
for 4 years.
Nordic witch's hut for 4 years. Wrong one. You get there and she's like, dude, it's not me. Sorry, bro. I don't do that anymore.
I would like to go somewhere with imaginary creatures, like, trolls and dragons and stuff. That'd be fun.
So he'd also like to be there with you. At
Yeah. You mean
Hogwarts.
Hogwarts?
No, I don't want to go to Hogwarts.
Yeah, there's never been trolls or dragons.
They're just going to lightning my face off at Hogwarts. I know it. I'm going to try to play the game on the broomsticks, and I'll be the first one
Yeah,
to fall,
Quidditch.
break his neck, and die.
Yeah, but they just
Avacadaver.
Fixo, yeah. Kilo. Just biceps. I'd be so
Go to
jacked
the
at
gym
Hogwarts.
every day and lift weights and then just do the wand. Next workout.
That sounds like the SpongeBob episode where he like pumps up his muscles. You ever seen that?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No.
No, that's wrong demographic.
Oh,
Other people understand.
I love that
Sorry, Jazz.
SpongeBob
Everyone watching
episode.
this, they'll know. Everybody watching this will know. They'll watch that and be like, yeah, I watched SpongeBob. You guys didn't. So, just wait. The comments will side with me.
I hope so, because that means people are watching an hour and 6 minutes into this episode.
Gable told me when his episode came out was right around state, so everyone was watching it, and we were all like laughing about it. We were like, yeah, Gable, and he was like, yeah, I only have like 35 viewers. It's like, I'm sure when Jazz shows up, there's gonna be like 1,000 or something. So I got you guys. Just
Good,
wait.
yeah, that's great. The least performing video we have is just me and Kyle, so that's always
That's not a surprise.
that's a shot to our ego there. We're like, dude, this one's gonna kill so good. Didn't kill, but the cool thing is no one's seen it, so we just re-release it as episode like
100.
15.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one even know it
We're
existed.
really in the weeds now. We're off track.
Mindset.
Mindset.
We could edit all that out.
Nah, I'm not gonna.
We've never have. Just leave it in there.
All right. Let's go through our list, Jazz. How do our athletes manage the stress of the season?
You wait till season's over.
I was gonna say poorly.
Wait.
Yeah.
Oh, I actually want to rewind a little bit. Is that okay? Are you okay
You're
with
living next to a black hole, man. You can do whatever the hell you want. Physics
Nice.
don't exist.
it? Oh, they do. But if you were inside a black hole, you might get to experience the entirety of the universe before you died. Time would go so slow, which I think is pretty cool. What was the question I was going to ask you?
No one knows, man. You're living in a black hole.
You were the one who distracted me.
Mindset.
Mindset.
Hogwarts. Quidditch.
Never mind. We'll move forward. Wait for the season to end.
Yeah. No.
That's not a bad answer. Like, the answer really might be, like, just holding on for dear life.
So yeah, I think that is the answer for first year wrestlers. But I think if you've been somebody that's been doing this for a while, like, you know, you love the sport, quit playing. Like, you gotta figure it out though. Like, and just wake yourself up, realize you love the sport. And then what is it about the sport that you do love? Is it the hard work? Is it the winning? Like, and if it is the winning, you need to also love the losses, because that's what gets you to the winning part. Like, you lose, you know what you need to fix, what you need to get better. Is it my muscles aren't big enough? Is it my technique wasn't good enough? So, like, I think figuring out what you love about the sport. I made all the girls like write my why, like their reason why for coming into the wrestling room. If you read them, you'd have like two thoughts. One would be like, these girls need to learn how to spell. And then the other thought would be like, none of them are doing it for themselves. And I think that one thing I loved about wrestling is that, like, it is a selfish sport. Like, I want you to be selfish. I want you to do this for yourself. Like, you have to want to do it for yourself. And I think having that mindset too, like, I'm not in this for anybody else. I'm in it for myself. But then also understanding that when times do get tough, sometimes you need something that is bigger than you, like, to help you keep going.
Yeah, something to anchor you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, a lot of girls had that. One of my favorites was a girl put college and just bold letters. Yeah, like everybody else had like a list. This girl just put college. And I think that was just like really inspiring. That one made me tear up for a second. I was just like, yeah, that is a great reason to do this. Like, we're at the beginning of an amazing sport growing in the U.S. Anybody can go to college for it right now. Like, anybody, you can walk onto a team. Like, you can show up to college. It'll be your first day. Walk onto the team. Coach will give you a scholarship, even if you don't know wrestling.
Just because they need them.
Because we need people right now. So, like, yeah, let that be your inspiration. If that's what's going to pay your way through school, fight for it. Want it. Like, understand that that's what you're here for. So I think just figuring out why you love the sport, why you're doing it every single day.
I remember a little while. So I thought sports were going to pay for college for me, and then I got hurt, and it didn't work out, right? And but I remember a little while afterwards finding out that for like every $1 they give in athletic scholarships, they give like 17 in academic scholarships. So I was like, man, I've just been working 40 hours a week at training and 40 hours a week at school, you know, trying to make sport pay for college. And then I was like, I probably should have just got better grades.
Yeah. I think that a lot of people don't realize that either. For me personally, like, I'm always brutally honest with my girls. Like, I did not have the best GPA in high school. Like, there was times where I was just like, I gave up. You know, I was in your guys' classes. Be so real. I was the one in the back of the class just talking. Like, I didn't want to be there.
Algebra too. You and the group of girls that all sat together. I remember that.
Yeah, I played Minecraft in your class every day. So.
And I'd come and yell at you about it.
Yeah.
And you'd be like, no, it's not Minecraft. It's educational.
That's mathy, though.
It
like
was.
Minecraft
Like, how many
shapes
blocks
and
do I
shit.
need to put up or something?
Yeah. Come on now.
She had a good group with her, though. They'd always, like, scoop her back up when she was ready to try to pass a test or whatever. So
That's a lie. They copied off my paper.
That's
What?
why they scooped you up. They're
That's
like,
literally,
scooped you up.
what it is. Why do
Jazz, you
think
gotta
they
wake
stopped
up,
it?
girl. You gotta listen for this so we can
yeah.
cheat off your paper.
That's literally what it is. They'd be like, hey, what is he saying? And they would ask me for, like, I knew what I was doing. That's why I was playing Minecraft. I didn't need to pay attention. You're a good teacher. But I just didn't.
I like the addendum there. Like,
Right.
gonna qualify it.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, all right.
But yeah, so I'm honest with them that grades were not my thing. Still not my thing, but no. But yeah, so I am honest with them about that. There is more options than just that. So don't let, like, if you're a junior or you're a senior right now and you didn't have the best freshman or sophomore year, it's not too late for you.
Yeah.
Like, there is an opportunity for anybody who wants to go into higher education. Like, plenty of people are willing to help you through that.
Yeah. Yeah, when I went to school, I finished my freshman year with like a 1.2 GPA. I'd literally get the syllabus and be like, how little can I do and pass this class, right? And
Which actually takes some intelligence.
yeah, you got to be able to tell what a percentage is
Right.
and, you know, how to work the teacher and everything. But I had a coach who was like, you know, you really got to get your shit together because this could pay for you to go to school wherever you want to go. And after that, I was almost a 4.0 student. Like, there was a couple classes where they were like, this 10% requires, you know, 20 hours a week of journaling or whatever. And I was like, I'm not gonna, I'll take an A-. I'm okay with that. Like, that's fine. But, you know, it was but then when I went to apply for schools, you know, I ended up with like a 3.4 or something. Like, I didn't have a really high GPA. It wasn't really bad, but it wasn't really high. Right.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of schools that were like, you're kind of on the bubble. Like, we might not be able to get you in. But then, like, when you write in the letter, like, oh, my home life was crazy and, you know, my parents split and we, you know, had to move out of our house and all that kind of stuff. Then they were like, oh, okay, yeah, no, that makes sense. Like, they wanted a justification. You know, they didn't really care so much that it wasn't great. They just wanted to know, like, why wasn't it great? And then why did you turn around? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, so lots of opportunity still, even with not great. Yeah.
There was a lot of eye contact there. Probably didn't look like it on, but I thought we had fell into the black hole together and just stuck there looking into each other's eyes for the rest of eternity.
I'm such an awkward person that it just seemed totally normal to me. I wasn't even.
Yeah, it was good.
We should do an episode where we never break eye contact. Just
No,
like
we
an hour and a half.
definitely should not. So, like, with wrestling, when we were talking about, like, preparing, like I said, the answer might be that just try your hardest to stay mentally tough throughout the whole process. And I feel like there's the rebound. Like, once, like, again, from just the outside being the strength coach, once we get to postseason, like, I see the kids like, all right, the finish line has come, right? But through all those tournaments and duels and everything like that, like, you see the drain coming. And, like, the one thing I'm super interested to, like, hear if anybody's, like, looking into this, like, or studying, like, you have, like, just for your brain, I just feel like it's like an abusive sport, like, with just how difficult it is, like, just towards your own, like, psyche. Like, you're probably not winning all your matches. You might be, and maybe it's a little bit easier, but you're probably finding other ways to convince yourself that you're not worth it and things like that. And then, like, a lot of the kids, not all the kids, but a lot of the kids are on moderate to severe weight cut, right? Like, especially depending on how good they are at maintaining their diet. Like there are some wrestlers that I've been pretty impressed with. They gradually just lost the weight and then they just stay there, but that's super uncommon. Most of my kids because they are normally cutting it in my class, like Monroe, I got to cut 6 pounds. I'm like, oh, when's the duel tonight? It's like, what the hell? Like, are you normally in this weight class? Like, yeah. I was like, holy crap, man. But so you get these like yo-yo diets, and like that's super bad for, like low fat diet. Like we know that that's not great for cognitive ability. And then like you add on top of this era of like social media, you know what I mean? Like I'm really interested to see, like, we know social media is not necessarily great for especially adolescents, but really probably anybody, you know what I mean? Like, but like in those lower like cognitive functions, I want to see if anybody's looking like, does that have like a magnifying effect of like possible chances, like serious side effects of being in like this lower cognitive ability, already stressed out, already probably a little critical of yourself, and then adding in like the possibility of cyberbullying, or just like we know like social media going on there and seeing like Arnold Schwarzenegger and The Rock, like boys are supposed to look like this, and I don't look like this. Like, is that
all 4 of them on the planet?
Yeah, but yeah. That's what people don't understand is like everyone that looks like that is on Instagram. That's it. That's all of them. They have an Instagram page. Yeah, you see like a lot of the guys that look like that, but that's all of them. No one else is looking like that. But you know what I'm saying? Like that's super interesting to me to think like, is there like this like compounding effect with our kids nowadays of that you didn't really see, probably just before you were in school. Definitely when I was in school. I think when I was in the Army, like MySpace just came out. I was getting on the MySpace. So anything before that, the social media whole aspect of it just wasn't, the people in your school and the few people you saw at athletic events, that was it. That was the only people that were going to take shots at your psyche. And now it's the freaking planet.
Yeah. Has that been an issue at all, do you feel like?
Ooh, no, I think that with the way, well, at least with girls wrestling, with the way that women's wrestling is growing, they're not like really comparing themselves to like other girls, and it's like in a negative way. I would say it's more of like, oh my god, like she's inspiring.
So it's
like,
having some positive.
Yeah, like a lot of positivity.
It does it because it's growing so fast. There's not
like,
that resource starvation. Like people are excited for the growth and excited to participate. And stuff.
Exactly. Yeah. So it's never like me versus them, and it's more of like us versus everybody else, like type of mindset. That I really admire. But the head coach, he said something at the beginning of the season that was like just stuck with me because I'm like, oh, that's so smart. He says that like, for boys to wrestle well, and correct me if I'm wrong, boys, because I'm not a boy, but for
put
boys,
it in the comments and comment
comment
like 3 or 4 different videos on both Instagram and YouTube. Just
like
throw it around.
The same exact comment. No.
Yeah.
But he said that for boys to wrestle, to feel good about themselves, they have to wrestle well. But for girls to wrestle well, they need to feel good about themselves. Yes. Wait. I feel like I said that
sounds
right.
No, I think that's right. I think
If you did say it wrong, it got across.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like for our girls, we always tell them like wear the kind of headgear that you want to wear, like paint your nails, like do whatever you do to like make yourself feel like feminine in a masculine dominated sport, like to feel good about yourself because it's going to make you wrestle well. Whereas like he said for boys, like the way that you wrestle depends on your mood, like how you're going to feel about yourself. Like if I win this match, then I'm going to feel great about myself. But if I lose this, then I'm a horrible guy. Like I'm strong. I'm weak. And like, but it's the opposite for the girls. Like they need to feel good. They need to feel pretty. They need to feel like smart. And so like before matches, when I'm sitting there, like with the whole group, like after warm-ups, like I quite literally sit there and I give them affirmations. Like you guys are beautiful. Like we're smart, we're strong, and it's good to be strong. Like we want to be strong. Think about how like we can use this strength. Not only is it like external, but it's internal. Like we get to fight those silent battles with ourselves, and we can. And so like I sit there and like just, let them know like you're good. You got this. Like, you're beautiful. This doesn't make you any less beautiful. If anything, it makes you more. Like, you're out here, you're doing a tough sport to make yourself better. And so, like, yeah, so I think it's a lot of, like, having to reassure them that it's okay to be doing this. Like, it's okay to have muscles. If your boyfriend says, like, your shoulders are bigger than mine, like, good.
Find a bigger boyfriend.
Tell them, like, good, get in the weight room. So yeah, so like just reassuring them that like it's okay to be like that.
Muscles are great. They make your whole life better.
Yeah.
Happier, healthier,
Yep.
more capable.
We had that a
live
lot
longer.
probably 4 or 5 years ago with the girls powerlifting team. There was only a few. I mean, at one point there was none, and then there was one, and there was 3, and they started having success, and then all of a sudden now, like, my weightlifting classes are 50% female. Like, it didn't take that long for girls to get comfortable with being strong and, you know, showing those things in the weight room and just being comfortable in their own skin, wherever that is. Like, so yeah, that's great to see.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think that it just needs to take them realizing that it's not like an us versus them, like, competition. It's a us versus ourselves. Like, we're gonna always be our biggest critic. We're always gonna be our toughest battle. And that's exactly what wrestling shows us. Is that it is a mental battle. So, like, it's okay to be strong. Like, it's not us comparing ourselves to the guys or us comparing ourselves to other girls. It's us versus us. Like, that's literally what it is.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier, like, you know, going to the Tacoma Dome and being okay just putting your hands on the concrete and, like, kind of grounding yourself and giving yourself and being okay that people are going to look at you and think that you're doing something weird. Probably nobody's even going to notice that you're doing it. You know, like almost everybody, like you said, is their own biggest critic. Everybody's focused on what they're doing.
Yeah.
You know? So, yeah, definitely dive in. Do stuff for you. Yeah.
Just keep getting after it.
Just keep getting after it.
Girls are kicking ass, man.
Yeah, I'm really excited about it. You know?
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Like I've been a Shelton wrestling fan. Right, like I loved going. I didn't wrestle in high school, but I loved going to the duels, and like I've gone to most of the duels over the 10 years that I've been there, and not normally a tournament unless it's state because that's long. It's a long ass day. You know what I mean? Like I do my long days on powerlifting.
Drive 5 miles just to watch wrestling.
But
5 hours.
like we've I ain't driving 5 miles, man. that's too damn far.
5 hours. 5 hours. 5 hours.
Goodness.
I'm in the black hole still.
But like fuck, I don't even know where I was going. We'll fix
about
that.
Being excited about the kids and growth of sport and stuff. No, nothing. We lost it.
I'll add it. Post edit. My mouth will just move. But I don't know. I'm excited. We were I don't know. I was gonna say something about we're newly like really diving into wrestling, and it's like, man, it's a freaking cool sport. It really is. Like, I love the lessons that kids learn. I love the fact that it's, you know, having been, and you get this in powerlifting, but powerlifting in a way is like a super non-competitive sport.
Yeah.
Like, it's the only sport, like there are some kids or adults that are gonna be in the competitive portion of it. You know, maybe there's 1, 2, or 3 people in your weight class that could win. Yeah. Or maybe you're lucky enough to be strong enough to go to nationals. But, like, it's not like you can, like, at a wrestling tournament, like, you can go have a really great meet or somebody can make a mistake and you could win. Like, even if they're much more talented. Unless, like, you're not just going and being like, dude, coach called me beautiful today. I'm lifting 300 more pounds. You know what I mean? Like, it's just like super non-competitive. So seeing this like where the kids are going and doing an individual thing is, I've just been like super enticed by that mindset. Because I'm a football coach, right? So every mistake you make together, like every victory you make together, the first win of the season happens as a group, and the last loss, everybody's feeling that loss at the exact same time. No one's season ends at the same time. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like the end of a wrestling season is like 3 weeks long, and depending on when your match is, right? Like my season ended at 2, and yours ended at 4, and yours ended at 6. Like it's so weird to like this individual thing. It's pretty cool. Like there might be lots of people like, yeah, dude, like,
but
it's wrestling.
like people who aren't a part of wrestling don't realize how much of a team sport it is too. Like we had a tournament this year, and I don't want to say it was our worst tournament because we did really good. But I would say that it would be the one that we didn't have anybody take first place in. And so that tournament, we had 2 girls get injured, and like, I'm talking bad. Like me, my first time experiencing that, and I'm like, where's an adult? Oh wait. So yeah, they got pretty injured, and our girls are like so close to each other, and I love that. But again, it's like, it's a sport where you do gotta be selfish. So somebody gets hurt, we all feel that pain. Everyone's feeling it, and then we go out there and we kind of wrestle like crap. Like we really do, and it's because our friend, our teammate, is hurt, and so
Right.
yeah, like trying to teach them that yes, it is a team sport, but it is very much so individual too. Worry about yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
When to be passionate, when to be dispassionate.
Yeah.
Right?
Take care of business.
Yeah. Yeah. You've got to be dispassionate about the well-being of your teammates and passionate about the victory. That's the lesson we're all taking away from that.
Yeah.
All right. You got any other questions?
I think we're just excited to see where you go,
Yeah.
whether it's here, somewhere else, you know.
Are you planning on coming back next year? Are you thinking that far ahead yet?
I'm seeing where the road takes me.
I mean, you did the banquet yesterday.
I did the
Yeah.
banquet
Correct.
yesterday,
Like-
so I don't
Yeah.
even know if they want me back next year.
Right.
Like,
Probably
I gotta-
not.
Yeah,
They're like,
probably
nah.
not.
They're probably the first time we've ever made league champions. Why
What-
would we want to?
Yeah,
They better
what
remember
we
to take my
what we
key.
haven't realized is they're checking like, oh, you were on the Red Gauge podcast. Like, nope,
Nope.
not coming back. Like, you guys are all getting fired. Sorry to everybody that's been on. They somehow fire like some of our Max Ada. They're like, you're out, dude.
You can't work
You're off.
for this district
Weight,
ever again.
weightlifting AI fired.
All right. Well, thanks so much for being on. We really appreciate you coming in.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
It was really great to sit down and chat again for the first time in 5 years.
Yeah, I know. Before I came on here, I called my dad, and I was like, what do I say? Like, I don't even know what Mr. Cofield's first name is. He was like, just ask him. And I was like, like, I was just in high school. What do you mean? I still gotta address them by their last names.
Did you find out?
I did, because
Okay.
you had texted me something, and you said
Oh, and said
Kyle.
Kyle.
And I was like, who's Kyle?
Who the
And then I was
hell
like,
is Kyle?
there's
He's
only
the
gotta be
man in
one
the
other
black hole.
yeah.
Yeah. Staring out at all of the universe. happening
Knowing
all at
all
once.
of the
Selling his eye.
everything that's happened in the witch's hut.
Mm-hmm.
What if that's all you
That's
learned?
all you learned?
You learned that everything that had ever happened in the witch's hut.
Just a bunch of suckers coming to trade their eyeball for power, and then realizing that that's all that they get.
And you just see it in real time.
Uh-huh.
It just plays. So
Yeah,
it's like
1,000
400
dudes.
years,
Yeah.
and then it just starts over. And that's the only way you can be like, oh, I like this part.
I like this part.
I like
This
this.
guy takes it like a champ. Not everybody takes this realization well. Some of us really struggle.
This has got to be done. We are way past.
Love you, bye. Like, comment, subscribe, share.
Follow us on Instagram.
Toodles.